Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this blustery November day. It feels like November a little bit, doesn't it? Okay, so we have two homeowners that have signed up. First up is Sandy Lehman. Sandy, do you want to come up to the mic, please?
Can you hear me okay?
Maybe
No,
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Sandy Lehman. My husband Chuck and I live in Phase 2 Willow Ridge subdivision, and we've been property owners in Westbrook Village since 1992. I heard at a previous board meeting that a second candidates night is being planned, which is great news. I'd like to suggest that the board have a discussion around candidate night reforms, such as how we go about questioning the candidates. I propose that a discussion about candidate night reform be put on the board's December agenda. And I thank you for your consideration of my request.
Thank you. Thank you for being short and sweet. Okay, we don't take action at this time on homeowners' comments, so that was good advisement. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up is Joy Groves. Joy?
I just wanted to see if we can improve our communication. In terms of like the e-blast, maybe going out earlier. Sometimes when they come out, you know, they catch us off guard and they aren't on our schedule or whatever. I know that you put it on the website, but I'm just wondering if that could be improved. The other thing I kind of was questioning, do we advertise our garage sales on Facebook?
The HOA has no presence on any social media.
Because I feel like it's a disservice to the community in terms of the people that take, I didn't do it this year, but I knew the person down the street, he got 20 people. And I basically remember when I first moved here, there was a lot of cars, a lot of, advertising, better signs, whatever. But I just kind of felt like it was, people go, that's a lot of work to do a garage sale. And I just feel that our communication could be better in terms of advertising or promoting our community. So, and then, yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Judy. For being short and sweet then.
To that end, I heard from at least a half a dozen ladies that same, at 0 to hear anyone show up. Now, I don't know if there's anything we can do as a board. Maybe, I know Arrowhead has their big sale at the same weekend we have ours. I agree. Karen, have we ever changed the date or looked at that?
We always go between the last weekend in October and the first weekend in November. Those are the only changes we do. And we actually do go out on 3 garage sale websites and market in the local newspapers. We had reports at the admin office of the highest turnout, so I don't know if it was phase 1 versus phase 2. 2 people didn't even have a sale on Saturday. So we're open to make changes and improve it every year. We can put some more marketing, try to get some marketing money put towards it. And then research and not compete. You're saying maybe, check out other yard sale weekends.
Okay. Anyway, thank you.
You said it was Arrowhead that had theirs the same day.
Arrowhead has their big one, and
Yes.
we heard that from folks that showed up at our house on Saturday. They said it was extremely busy over there, and when they got over here, they didn't hardly see anyone at all. Maybe we should look at changing the date, maybe go earlier. What if, so it's always the weekend of Halloween,
Well, we try to stay away from Halloween depending on the day of the week. A few years back, when it was Halloween weekend, we changed it. But we have the garage sale, then the arts and crafts sale. And then we have the fall players play and veterans. So we try to make sure that we schedule those 4 major events appropriately.
all right, thank you.
At this point, I'll ask us all to stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and good morning once again. I call the meeting to order and ask that Secretary Allen confirm the quorum, please.
Pursuant to Avenue 4, Section 7, the bylaws of Westbrook Village, a quorum is 1/2 the number of directors now serving, and that shall constitute a quorum at a meeting of 4. There are all 7 members are present, so we do.
Thank you. Next up are the minutes for the September meeting. I ask for purposes of discussion for a motion on those minutes, please.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
Who seconded that?
I had to.
State your position.
Okay, so Steve and Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Steve.
And are there any discussions or corrections regarding these minutes?
The only ones that I would have is that Jody Snyder was not present at that meeting, and that my first name has a Y, not an I, under vice president nomination.
Okay, anything else?
Down Y instead of
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, please say, raise your hand. And that was unanimous. Not abstaining.
Abstain.
Thank you. I couldn't see.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Next up is the treasurer's report.
This is for the month ending September, not October. The general operating fund, cash and CDs on hand at the end of September were $2 million. For the full year 2024, we are forecasting total revenue of $3.3 million, of which $3 million will come from our homeowners' annual assessments. Budgeted expenses for 2024, $3.3 million, with $125,000 expected to transfer to our reserve fund. Through September, our revenue and expenses are in line with our forecast. However, we continue to monitor expenditures and undergo higher pricing in products, labor, and availability. In addition, there remains a large unknown with the economy, especially after an election yesterday, as to what might lie ahead with regards to home sales, interest rates, and the overall economy in 2024. The placement reserve fund, cash, and CDs on hand at the end of September was $4.4 million. In 2024, we are forecasting revenue of $782,000. And revenue comes primarily from new homeowner preservation fees. The 2024 reserve budget includes a transferred revenue of $125,000 coming from the budget, and projected interest of about $24,000. That's what we budgeted at the beginning of the year for interest rates. Through the end of September, luckily enough, we are 78,500, which is way over what we're projected for '24. Reserve fund expenditures budgeted for 2024 for $1,142,250. Ongoing expenditures remain planned for our perimeter wall repair. If you drive around the village, I'm sure you'll see them. Try not to run into them. The Lakes Complex asphalt replacement, Karen, are they gonna start that this year or?
Yes, we were hoping to have it done prior to overseeing, but we didn't get it approved quick enough, so the schedule got moved out to December.
Okay,
They'll do curb repair at the end of November, and then the first 2 weekends in December, they'll do the mill and asphalt at the Lakes Complex.
okay, thank you. So pay attention if you're going to the lakes. And the fitness center architect. Other normal infrastructure repairs and replacement and expenditures are addressed as needed. These financials will be at the Westbrook Village Association admin office afternoon on Thursday, November 7th. The September treasurer's report will be approved at the November 6th board of directors meeting and available the following day. Should you have any questions, please call 623-561-0099 for an appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. May I have a motion for approval of the budgets, subject to audit?
So moved.
I second.
Okay. I think that was Max and you. Okay, thank you. Anything else? I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye, please. Oh, raise your hand. This was unanimous. Thank you. Okay, I want to welcome Bob to a regular board meeting. He was appointed by the board as per our documentation to fill some big shoes, my friends. So, welcome, Bob. Moving on to unfinished business, facilities usage report. They're in here.
Starts on 16.
Okay. Start at 16 and goes on to 18. Are there any questions or comments on those reports?
And I would just note that for some reason Desert Dancers has fallen off of the Lakes Recreation Center.
Did you go somewhere?
That sounds catastrophic.
So when that happened, Marcy?
I just noticed it in this report. I did not notice that before.
Okay.
Because it's a login that we use when we're there to distinguish that us versus the aerobics room usage, so.
We will find out where it went.
Well, it was there in September, so they must have left in between.
Denise?
So I have a question, please. So it seems like we're having some fall-offs on our usage reports as far as Bunko is concerned. And then you said you just mentioned the dance studio. Bocce Balls only has one person that used it in 2023 with 0 for this year. With again, Fine Arts just took off this year, which is really good to see. So what's the protocol for, do we just keep Bocce Ball on the list, or what's the protocol for if we see a drastic reduction in use?
Tim, Bocce Ball is also on Vistas.
Look at page 17, that's where they normally check in. We give them the option to use the Falcon and the Vistas.
You know, the other thing about these reports, and I'm looking at the one for the end of October, just so everybody sitting in the audience is aware, at the end of October, total for the year, we had over 9,000 guests come to our facilities. 9,000, almost 9,100. Of those 9,000 guests, they come to our facilities for free. Free. If I go to Sun City and I want to use their facilities, pay. The extra maintenance and the extra upkeep on the facilities here, we all pay for. I'm just making you all aware of that.
Thank you. We'll be addressing that a little bit further in a bit on the agenda. Next up on unfinished business is the easement. I see Joe is here. Do you want to say anything, Joe?
I thought we were done with this. I'll bet you wish we were done with it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got good news, actually. The city on Monday was out and they replaced the pavement at Terrell Road, about 8 or 10 feet of that. And at the parking lot, they replaced all the pavement that needed to be replaced, probably about 15 feet of that up there. And they filled in all the cracks. They said that they're going to come out in spring to reseal everything. So the chains are down, the path is back open, a wheelchair can use it now, so that's all good news.
Thank you to all who worked on that. Appreciate it.
I have a question really quick. Joe, did they change the date from February to, you just mentioned spring?
They always said spring for that
But then-
for some reason. It's my understanding. It could be February. You just got an email.
I got an email from them and they're continuing to say spring.
Okay.
They're not committing to a month. Right. I'll forward you that email, Joe.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the Vistas Pool update. Who wants to give an update on that?
Well, I'll start if Sean has any input. We have met with Cal Pools and they are working on resolutions. Their first appeal with the county on the aerobics pool drains did not pass. But he had another person that he was gonna go to at the county because those drains are very tall in that small area. He believes there's another option for that. They're also working on the backwash issue and they are working on a time frame of what it would truly entail to drain the pool, remove the tile, re-pebble tech it, and we will have all that information as soon as we hear back from them.
All right, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, that will take the whole pool or just the floor?
Just where they're taking out the tile.
Okay.
They did say for the first year you will have a ghost, I think that's what he called it, Sean, a little bit of a ghost look because the pebble tech will have a different color. The other one's been sitting in the sun and the chlorine for a year, but eventually it will all meld together.
Yes, Joy, you need to come up,
Okay.
please.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we get,
Okay,
sound
so if you have
recorded.
more discussion going on, Amy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have we gotten an estimate on that yet?
Nope, when they get everything together, I've asked for everything in writing, it will come to an open board meeting before any decisions are made.
So I can see next. Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Doesn't look like it. Okay.
Okay, I'm checking. Are you replacing all the tile, like in the swim lanes and everything?
No, they're not suggesting the lap lane tile,
Because that is gonna be a hazard with the volleyball, with the water volleyball. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this from a liability issue.
well, I will say, Cal Pools, multiple state, multi-billion-dollar company, assures us that the tiles that are in there are heavily reviewed and monitored by Maricopa County. And taking them out for the lap lane swimmers is not what I'm hearing the lap lane swimmers want.
I think they need something marked, I agree, but you have to have a different type. You have to have something, I mean, if you're gonna drain the pool, you need to basically make sure that you have something that is not slick for the volleyball people to play on. I mean, that is, they're gonna be moving even more than we do for water aerobics. And you're gonna have some major injuries.
Well, they're not requesting it.
Have you gone in
They
the
are
pool?
not requesting it.
Okay, have you gone in the pool and walked on that tile job?
Well, I know the answer to that. I'm the general manager. I don't swim in the facilities.
This is a problem that needs to be addressed.
Well,
You guys
we're gonna rely on the
If this is
professionals.
such an issue, who is all having problems?
12 aerobics
And,
ladies.
you know, we have open meetings here, anyone can come and speak. Now, and I'm not picking on you, so
No, no,
don't
you
go
can do
there.
it all you want. Like
No,
I said,
I'm just saying, if this is an ongoing issue for water volleyball, and what do you participate in,
aerobics,
Zumba,
aerobics.
water aerobics? Does Zumba have an issue?
Zumba doesn't use the Vista pool.
Oh, okay, why?
They do not have that tile in the lakes.
Okay, so we are addressing this issue?
Yeah, the lap lanes at the lakes also have the same tile,
Well, yeah, but
which is in the code of friction, it's all within the safety guidelines per Maricopa County.
Nobody doing aerobics on the swim lanes. If you move the water aerobics there, I mean, not the water aerobics, but
Joy, can you speak into the mic, please?
I'm sorry. I brought this forward because I think it's a major liability issue for our whole development. It's not just the water aerobics. Okay, and then,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What type of an injury are you expecting?
anybody that
I'm
slips,
making fun, but
a
a
back
slip for the water is
injury,
not really,
a back injury,
a what?
a back injury. When you slip, you jerk your whole body, okay? All right? And just to let you know, if I had slipped, when I had a neck injury that I didn't know I had, okay? And if I had fallen or tripped, any kind of slip type motion with that, I would be paralyzed or dead.
Then you should not be in the pool.
If I did not know I had an injury.
Joy,
I just don't
Okay.
think.
Okay,
Joy, can I help you, interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
So this is federal law, we have new federal law, it supersedes Maricopa County. This is the 2010 ADA standard for accessible design, so see me out.
So you brought this up, Tim. What are you telling us? The
It's-
pool is
well-
ADA uncompliant because you're looking at the ADA.
You're absolutely right, it's not compliant. If there's
So what
a,
you're contending is Cal Pool built us a pool and got it approved by every inspector that we need to have look at it. It's not correct.
show me the contract, and if it doesn't say it has to be, well, let me speak.
Are you an expert at contract reading?
I'm an expert on risk management and contract reading.
Okay, we don't.
okay, time out.
No, I got
Tim, if you're an expert at surface,
surface
risk,
attenuation, yes.
I think we need your certification on file at this point because you are asking the HOA to take a stance that relies on your certification.
No, actually,
And vendors,
it's a requirement that the HOA use a third party, not me. So I can recommend to, but again, I was elected to represent the people here. So if we have, matter of fact, Karen kind of mentioned it, it's called a coefficient of friction. The tile is supposed to have a certain slip resistance. And so if Westbrook Village did not specify compliance with ADA requirements, then we have an issue. If we did, and then they didn't adhere to them, then the contractor is liable.
So the county and the state that inspected the pool, you're telling all of us that they did not do their job correctly.
I'm telling you straight up, if you did not specify in the contract that it has to meet that requirement, they don't have to inspect it into that requirement unless you get some of the federal people out here to look at it.
And you have documentation to that effect? That has nothing to do with the
This doesn't do it for you.
Steve, I mean, how many of the board people have gone and walked in?
That's not a fair question.
Yes, it is.
It is not a fair question, Joy. I have my own pool. I'm not gonna go to a public pool when I pay for my own
I am
pool.
not talking about using it, I'm talking about checking out this property.
I've been to the pool side a million times, but I've not been in the pool. You know, I trust your word. I don't need to get in and,
Well, I just,
And we,
I'm sorry, but I feel like with us turning, I mean, I'm all for the water volleyball, don't get me wrong. But I see that as being a major problem if you guys don't remove those. And I understand the swimmers need the markings. I understand that too.
May I interject here? We're going over an issue, and I believe there's a simple solution that we should at least research. And if we're going to drain the pool and tear out the tiles, let's tear them all out. And isn't it conceivable that they could stripe our bottom pool with just a different color pebble tech to line the pool, to mark the swim lanes? I mean, it should at least be asked.
That's a great possibility, and then when we met with Cal Pools, you can take out the lane tiles and put really small tiles in with extra grout. That gives it more grip. But a different color pebble tech, we have to check with Cal Pools and see if that works. The information that Mr. Davis gave us is not an option. According to Cal Pools, that will deteriorate and clog your filter system. And, but all the options need to be looked at before it comes here for answers.
Okay.
Thank you, Joy.
Joy, we're addressing the issue. Let's see where we go from here.
Okay, Ray, you wanted to say something?
Regarding the water volleyball.
Look it up, you're a tall guy.
Ray, you're
I think I'm loud enough for you to hear me. I am not the president of the club, but my understanding is they were going to let the pool lanes be used by swimmers during water volleyball. Now, you'd have to check with the president, because she has laid out the court. I don't think that the water volleyball court is gonna impede on the swim lanes. But she is the one to check with, so maybe we can ask her to either a board meeting or to a rec meeting and tell her what we're interested in, and she can tell us how far that court is going to go into the swim lanes. I don't think it is.
So we have met with Lori and Lynn Seymour being the president, had a great meeting with them. The problem is the width of the nets. So they are planning to go from edge to edge.
Edge to edge, but not,
But the swimmers in the swim lanes could theoretically still swim, but what we thought would be best is close it down for that hour that they're requesting and just give them their playtime. And they are requesting everybody to wear rubber swim shoes. That was the requirement.
okay, good enough.
So, thank you. Did you want to say something, Mike?
Mike Barnett, I swim daily, I walk daily, and if you slip a little bit, you're gonna fall in water. You're not gonna fall in an empty pool. I don't understand if you fall, where you're gonna go, where you fall right down into the water. It's safe, I wear the proper shoes, and I go every day.
Thank you, Ray.
Anything from anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. but we'll continue working on that issue. Next up is new business and annual complimentary guest passes. It's discussed a little bit on pages 19 to 24 in your books.
This was asked to be on the agenda by the Budget Committee and the Long Range Planning Committee. You will see in your binder, starting on page 19, a quick summary of year-to-date 2024 passes, either the free passes handed out to residents or additional passes purchased through September 30th. Along with that, you'll see the facilities usage report, up to date on that, as well as minutes with a motion from the Long Range Planning Committee. So 299 free guest passes, now that's per household. Each house would only get one of those. So 10% of our homes are using the free guest passes each year. And then additional passes purchased, there were 20 punches per pass for $25. 174 were sold through the end of September.
Thank you. This kind of expands on what Steve had mentioned, that other communities, all other communities charge for guests. So the Budget Committee and the Long Range Planning Committee thought that it was time that we address this in our community, because guests do put some wear and tear on our facilities, and the board has discussed this in the past. This is kind of an expansion on the direction on where I think the board was going. It's been suggested that guests are charged once a certain number of free punches are used, and that's up for discussion today, that they're charged they're charged about $5 per head, and that is very competitive with Sun City and all the other HOAs in the area we shop at. So first up, I'd like the board to consider how many free punches we should allow each household per year.
As a grandfather here, I would encourage us to keep our 23 punches at the onset. I do recognize the issue with wear and tear in our facilities, but after the 20 punches, I am fully for implementing a much higher fee than we're doing presently. And I'm a little confused because it says one punch for $25. You mean one punch pass for $25?
Yes, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. It is one punch pass.
How many punches on the pass?
20.
Okay, I think that's too light. I really do. I would encourage it if it's going to be 20, or maybe it's easier to sell me because it's 10. I don't know. But $5 a punch, I think, is reasonable at this point. But I want to emphasize there's a lot of us that don't want to see the free punches just disappear. Okay, thank you.
And it was brought forth that no other community has free punches at the outset. They charge for guests immediately. Just discuss that a little bit.
And to remind the history that Westward has been on, it used to be you would get 23 punches at the beginning of the year, and you would come in with a group of family members of 5, 6, 7, or 8, and it was one punch. A few years ago, the board tightened that up a little bit, and it's one punch per person. And that's, so that's kind of the progress that we're heading toward. And Bruce, you say what I hear often, I want to bring my grandkids and my family around the holidays, and that's what I'm saying.
So, does anyone else on the board have any questions or comments on that? Max, you look,
Made that motion, but I could go along with Bruce's plan. I think that that's more than fair.
And I will even take it a step further. I know that some facilities are getting used way more than others, and there are folks in our community that are really using that luxury a lot. I mean, could we even consider having our punch cards after the 20 free punches on a sliding scale? I mean, you buy the first 20 for $5 a pop. If they want another 20, meaning they're using 60 in the year, maybe we raise it to 75 for the second 20, and so forth and so on. I don't know, it's just a thought.
I don't know how easily that is programmed into our, I don't know.
And as a reminder, when you pay cash for a punch card, that does not expire. There's a monetary value to that, and that rolls over. The only thing that expires on December 31st, excuse me, is any unused free passes, and then you can get another 20 right now at the 1st of January 1st. But the paid passes never expire.
Okay, Dale, did you want to say something? Dale?
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, Dale Eisentraub, Home Park Estates. Regarding the number of people using the passes, I've seen it at pickleball where somebody would come in with 18 people that don't belong. They're not family members. They're just people from the communities outside Westbrook. Using the facilities, punch in 18 people, and that gives them all of the facilities, not just pickleball, but they can go to the pool and everything else afterward. And that's just one person. If everybody started doing that, having all the friends, groups, whatever, come in for such a small amount, I mean, like $1, and they get all the facilities for $1 for the entire day. It just seems like it should be more restrictive. I've been here 15 years. I've got all my kids live within the valley, and we've never gone through a card yet. You know, it just, we don't have them over that often, or they don't do anything.
They're like volunteers, they don't show up.
Yeah, they have their own rules, they have their own facilities, and, you know, it's even more fun for them. So, but anyways, at $1 a punch, why wouldn't you just start bringing in all your people from outside to play pickleball? They pitch one, you know, costs them $1. They want to go in the pool and all that other stuff, and load that up too afterward. It's just not enough. They're just, it should be more expensive for the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Can I respond?
You have to come to the microphone.
Skip is only a, I'm one of those guilty parties. I've never seen any of our guests use anything other than the pickleball. They come for an hour, we take turns, right? So one person checks in, 8 people, there's 3 of us with a few guests. It's not 18-1, it's 2-1. It's not like Dale described.
Skip, didn't I check in 10 people with you once recently?
Yeah, there still was 2 or 3 other residents.
I was just, okay.
Yeah. Right. So we're there.
Yeah.
So,
You checked in 10 guests at one time.
at one time, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But there's still 2 or 3 other residents in the group.
They check in.
Yes,
Yeah, they have the wristband. Yeah, I was working the front desk.
But the residents, will they assume any of those checks?
No, he just checked in
We
10.
take turns.
Yeah, they rotate.
We have on tape, residents checking in 11 people, 11 people, and charged higher rates, and she made profit off of it.
So it's $1.25 a punch when you purchase the 20 at 25. And in front of our staff, which the staff was livid,
Oh, really?
the money transactions happened at our front desk on video. They were charging the pickleball players $2.50 to come in at 6:05 in the morning and use our facilities and turn on our lights, and there was a profit. And it doesn't quite seem fair to the other residents.
I still disagree that you're objecting to that.
Okay,
Maybe,
skip.
but maybe we should consider limiting the number of guests per member checking in.
Yeah, and other communities do that too. Most other communities allow one-to-one. But I don't think that would address grandpa and grandma wanting to bring a family. I'm not thinking that it should be that restrictive, but yeah.
But let's remember, as a member of Ways and Means, we are desperate for new streams of income to our community, and this may be an opportunity we need to consider to improve that income stream from just this one item.
I just wanted to be clear.
That's a great example, Bruce, because if you look at page 19, the 174 passes that were purchased at $25 brought in revenue of $4,350. That was $5 per punch. That would have brought in $17,400 and helped with the maintenance and the wear and tear on the facilities.
Okay? Okay, Joe, come on up.
As a grandparent as well, of 6 grandkids that like to use the pool, but we're only down there for that limited amount of time. $5 would kind of be excessive later on in the year for that. So if we do go down this road, we need to have a really good discussion of what it's about, who's it for. And I think maybe having it just, let's say we were to keep it with the way it is, but that punch is like, okay, they're going to the pool. Now, if I go, let's all go to the pickleball court, kids, and mess around over there, that'd be another punch. You know, that might work out pretty well. The other thing that I hear that I would object to is, I don't care what other communities are doing. I'm in Westbrook. I think we're better than other communities. We can come up with something that works really well without other communities. I dealt with this a lot at the school system level. We always wanted to compare to other schools, and I researched other schools and said, okay, this school's doing like this, which is better. They didn't want to do it. So you get locked into this. Well, they're doing it, they're not doing it, we want to do it this way. Let's just do what's right for us as a community and have a good discussion.
Joe,
Thank you.
Okay.
Joe, can I ask you, do you use all 20 of your free punches a year?
I would say.
With 6 grandkids, this is a great discussion.
Yeah, I would say every other year I do. I find myself buying an extra pass roughly every other year.
Okay.
And a little bit of a counter to Joe. I think that we in Westbrook have the mindset that our annual assessment pays for everything, and we're finding it does not. We need to really take a hard look at alternative revenue streams and come up with some creative out-of-the-box thinking. I'm sorry to say, but our operational budget needs a real kick. So,
Just for those that weren't at last week's meeting, your annual assessment was increased by CPI by 2.5%, but our costs and our expenses went up 6.9%. So,
And over the years, I've observed that going down as the CPI does not recognize truly the inflation that we're experiencing here in the Phoenix market and whatnot. And it's very unfortunate, but, so there's sound accounting principles that assign revenue to where the expense is generated, and that's how this type of thing was targeted somewhat. So,
Amy, it sounds like to me that you're saying this isn't like an anti-family thing. It's a revenue stream thing. We need to start generating additional revenue. Is that correct?
well, thank you, Tim. Yes. Okay, yes, ma'am. I'll get to that there, please.
Hi, I'm Jan Tolman. I'm a resident here for about 3 years. And I did not use all of my passes. Maybe I used 1 or 2 per year. But as you're considering this, and I don't know what the answer is, but if there's any way to consider going forward the difference between bringing in a group of outsiders for an activity versus a family, your family members coming in to swim or something like that. I think when we're inviting guests from other communities to use our facilities, it should rank a little bit higher as far as monetary value than bringing the grandkids in. And if there's a way that you can figure out to sort that out and maybe make adjustments there, that could increase our revenue without putting such a great strain on the families, if that's possible. So just consider that going
I
forward.
think that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's a fine point. Thank
Accomplishing
you.
that.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but I have some ideas, but I don't think they'd be very popular, so. I'll just be the bad guys.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Vince, you're
Let's
next.
come up and stand.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Mike.
I was a guest at Sun City Pool last week. It was $2.50.
Okay.
Was that for all day, Mike? Was that for all day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vince?
Hang on, Vince, but just for the pool.
Anywhere I wanted to go.
So if you got out of the pool and you wanted to go work out at the gym, that was,
Same.
okay.
It's all in the same building.
For one day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I happen to agree with you about the income stream. I think the guest pass is definitely something that should be looked at. But I'm also hearing about overuse of facilities. And let's talk about pickleball club. You know, all these people coming in that aren't family, okay? But they are friends. And y'all have to remember, up until today, whoever came into the pickleball club with those groups followed the HOA guest policy to the letter.
Vince, give to the mic.
They followed it to the letter, okay?
If they were club members, you said? The club members?
The club members, when they brought in their guests, went in, checked them in, they had wristbands, and out they went. Whether they had 2 or 20, whatever the case may be, they followed the policy. I think the policy needs to be looked at. Okay, I agree with that. But I think we're also looking at or talking about wear and tear. So is the policy that you're going to create mainly for a revenue stream, or is it to restrict overusage for the facilities? Because they're kind of opposing arguments.
Isn't it a little of both?
Well, you can have a little of both, but how do you mandate a little of both? How do you make a policy for a little of both?
I think
No, to answer your question, though, you're asking it isn't a revenue stream or overuse. Well, the usage is clearly there, but maintaining the facilities due to the extra wear and tear, I think is what the the extra wear and tear on the pool, the gym, and the pickleball. Because let's talk about that, the three biggest users,
Correct.
fitness center, swimming pool, and pickleball for our guests.
Right.
The highest maintenance facilities that we have.
I guess my point is, if we're going after a revenue stream, then why do we want to restrict how many people can purchase that revenue stream ticket? Right? I mean, it's almost self-defeating, it's almost self-defeating. I mean, if we're going after it, then let's go after it.
Yeah, but then you have too many guests and not enough room for the residents.
Well, let's use, I hate to keep bringing up pickleball, but let's use
the gym,
pickleball.
let's use the gym.
Okay.
bingo.
That's another whole bit.
We have zero revenue from bingo, unfortunately.
Let's talk about pickleball, because that's what I really know. I'm not real familiar with the gym procedure, okay? So we've got the courts designated for guests. So that's already in place. If somebody brings 18 people in here, not all of them are going to be able to play at one time. They have to follow the rules that are set up by the HOA to use those courts.
So you're saying open play is what's available for guests? I don't think the purpose of open play was for guests. I think it was for non-club members, residents.
Right, who bring guests.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. That's exactly what those people are. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to define a policy that, like you used about, people that don't live here and they're coming in as opposed to friends and family, who's going to enforce it? And how do you enforce it? I think that's the other thing if we make a policy here. It needs to be simple enough that we can enforce it. The guest policy is a perfect example of it. We can enforce it because we can look out on court and see a red band on people. And if there's somebody out there that we don't know, we can go up and identify them easily, or have the business gal go out and identify them. We've got to make a policy that's enforceable, and if it's going to be an income stream, then let's go after that.
So what would be, how much of an income stream do you think it should be? I mean, do you
Me
want,
personally,
what do you think the community could put up with?
well, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that. Why don't we have a town hall about it and get input from the community?
That's a great idea.
Or survey the community. I think that's-
Surveys, I personally, I don't like, this is just personal. I don't think surveys really do it because there's no discussion with a survey. I know that as running the pickleball club, when I get a group of people and we're discussing an issue or something, there's 4 or 5 ideas that are brought forth in that discussion that nobody else has even thought about. And I think that's what we miss here if we don't do something like this, like a town hall. I talked to somebody yesterday about the guest policy because, we were going to come to the meeting today. And they brought up the idea of doing tier pricing. Okay? Great idea. Great idea. So that's what a town hall will generate. Somebody will say something about increasing the price for this or that. That's going to trigger an idea to somebody else, and that'll be voiced at a town hall. We've got to get more input. If you're going to sell this policy or create this policy for the entire village, you're going to need a big section of this village to come in and help you pass it. Okay? I think, if you're asking me what you did, I think keep the guest pass that we get when we renew our HOA fees in January. Keep that the way it is. Don't take that away from anybody. But then after that, then we look at increasing and make it across the board and simple, and we can make it a tier thing, like Bruce had brought up a little bit. Maybe that first card is $5 a punch, so that card's 20 punches, $100. Maybe if they purchase another one, it's $15.
Okay.
Vince, can I ask you a question, please? So there's times in the mornings that are open for open play down in the center courts, is that correct? For the guests?
That's residents, yeah.
And then in the afternoon, is there times available that they can actually use the courts as well?
Yes.
So
There's open
basically,
play all the time for residents, any
So-
resident.
so basically there are times that we can have guests that come in, like Skip had mentioned, that would be just fine as long as they pay a certain amount of money to get in or use the guest pass.
If they use the guest pass, yeah.
So it's my understanding, like, entities like Surprise, they charge, I think it's $40, for, I think for inter-community play, for like 2 hours or something like that for 3 courts.
Right.
That would be a great revenue stream here for times that pickleball club members aren't using the courts.
My feeling is if we do something like that, you will open a can of worms in the
Yes.
area.
Yeah.
You'll have people from Scottsdale coming down here to pay $40 to play.
Not the intent of the open play.
Right, that's not the intent.
Okay.
Vince, when I was the president of the club, right before you came into office, you and I discussed guests at great length over a cup of coffee. If you have a great idea, because I wrestled with this when I was the president of the club. There were people showing up here to play because they found us online. Which meant there wasn't anything in there that said they would have to pay. So they drive in, they find out where the pickleball courts and they go play. Those guests we can control a number of different ways. But controlling the 18 or 10 or 15 guests that come in, do you have an idea that would benefit or show an income stream to offset the extra maintenance on the courts?
Well, if they're paying $5 a head, 18 times 5 is what? Almost $100? There's $100 for you.
Okay, so the lady that was standing in the office taking the money, we don't see any of that money.
Correct. I don't know what that is. That's the first time I've heard
We
this.
did get the punches at $1.25 because she had already used her free and was using a purchase pass.
Okay,
One thing I might suggest, and I don't know anything about that situation, but what she could have been doing is knowing that she's got her punch card is going to be all used up, and that extra money she's getting in is to purchase another pass, guest pass.
Well, then you charge like for like, you don't double the cost.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you, I don't know what the
Yeah.
situation was. But I don't think, I'm not going to speak for anybody, but I really don't think anybody is using it as a profit stream for
Sure.
themselves.
Yeah. So we
Okay,
can I have just an input? We had another incident a week ago Thursday. During our management team meeting, we had an accident at the pickleball courts. And it was a resident bringing in 2 guests. Her guests refused to come in the office to follow the policy. And she went ahead and took them to the pickleball courts. One of the guests fell and injured themselves. She knew the policy. There were other pickleball players on the court and said, you must file a report. She came to the front desk in tears, afraid she's going to lose her privileges because she didn't follow the policy, and made a statement to the staff that her friends refused to check in, that they've been playing here for 12 years and had never checked in before. So she's learned that she has to do that. She needs to force that before the residents or before the guests come to the facilities. It's not just about club play, it's about open play and residents and guests and huge liability.
right. Kathy Carter has written a letter, and we passed to the board copies of that. Kathy wants to speak, please.
I know you complimented the people who were short and sweet, and this is kind of lengthy, but I think I can cut it down here a little bit.
You're short, so.
Well, I'm here today, I had no idea that all of this was on the agenda, but I I appreciate all the comments about the guest policy because that's what I've become frustrated with, and most particularly with the pickleball courts. But so I'm here today to discuss a specific violation. So we have already, the HOA board adopted a board resolution that prohibits the use of our association common areas to outside sports leagues. And this mostly came about because of the use by an outside league called Apple. So there was discussion about that, and then this policy was put in place by the board. And it states that section 1, all outside league play utilizing association common area is prohibited, including but not limited to organized practices, lessons, and tournaments utilizing any association common area facility or amenity. And it's not limited to the tennis courts, pickleball courts, etc., but anything that may come in the future. Section 3 of the policy talks about the violation of that policy, and it may be enforced via any one or combination of the following: suspension of right of the applicable resident to utilize all common area amenities. You can also levy a monetary penalty against the applicable owner or a lawsuit for injunctive release. To my knowledge, we have never, ever enforced anything, with some kind of, enforcement or some kind of consequence, but it is in there that we can do that. Also, we have in our Westbrook Village Association membership policy, under the word guest, a non-resident friend, family member, or caretaker of a Westbrook Village Association homeowner, annual resident, or renter. That's the definition of a guest. Second part of that, a guest may not purchase guest punches. And this is exactly what you referred to, that the guest is purchasing a guest punch. And this person that's allowing this is in violation of our policies. And then, so here is what I mentioned about this one person that I personally observed. Signing in 10 plus guests at one time for the purpose of organized play and practice. They are all members of this league called Apple. These are not friends who are visiting this person on a short-term basis. They have been observed paying the resident for the cost of the guest punch. I've also observed this person provide an opportunity for practice and lessons in officiating to prepare for Apple matches. We have no need in this community for officials on our pickleball courts. So this training took place on our courts so these officials could be prepared to officiate Apple matches. So violations of the guest policy have been addressed by previous board members who were the framers of the current policy. Max, I remember you talking at that meeting. They clearly explained the intent of the language that we currently have, explaining that a friend was someone who most likely doesn't live here, someone who is visiting and maybe staying in your home, a friend who visits occasionally and on a short-term basis. When they developed the language, they did not conceive of a group outside of our community wanting to use our amenities. Can you imagine if 2 or 3 people decided to bring in 10 friends at the same time to use the pool or the fitness center? There were residents at this meeting who loudly opposed the explanation by the board members, and they have been violating the intent of the language ever since. In order to fill the loopholes in the guest policy, I suggest the following. Definition of a guest: a non-resident friend who does not live in the Phoenix Valley, family members or caretaker of a Westbrook Village Association homeowner, annual resident or renter. Secondly, a resident may sign in a maximum of 2 guests per day. This does not apply to your family members. I'm also requesting that the board apply the enforcement options listed in section 3 to this one resident who continues to violate and push the boundaries of our policies. And I can provide the name of that person outside of this public forum. So there were lots of things already discussed. I agree with Vince. I think that we should there is a conflict. So you either are gonna have a revenue stream, and you're gonna allow a lot of guests, or you're not gonna have the wear and tear. You won't need as much revenue stress if you knock out all of these guests. And I'm in favor of knocking out the guests. I can't imagine if we allow to have a large number of guests in one venue that we don't allow it in the gym or in the pools. I cannot imagine two of us bringing in 10 plus guests to the fitness center. It would just overcrowd that. No resident would get to use the equipment because it'd just be too crowded. So if you're going to have a guest policy for one venue, you have to have it for the others. And I would like to separate the friend guest coming in versus family members. I think that should be separate. I'd like to bring my 5 family members once a year to go play pickleball. But unfortunately, that whole thing is kind of getting clouded. I agree with you about your grandchildren. They're very special. And this community, being the ages we are, having our families come and visit is really important so that we can continue to do that. But unfortunately, we have this abuse going on. And I don't want it to overshadow the part about the families coming in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Kathy, I have a question. So, first of all, I appreciate the detail of this letter. This is really cool. So when I bought into Westbrook Village, I read the CCNRs, and it doesn't say guests, it says invitees. So somehow, so in, I guess, what is it? Article 2, property rights. It says any owner may assign his or her or its rights of enjoyment to and share the same with the members of his or her household, of course, as family, right? And then it says his or her tenants and invitees, subject to the provisions of the declaration, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know how we morphed into guests, but I understand where you're coming from. But as far as the terminology invitees, that's where I think we're still, they're okay. We just need to figure out how to manage this.
Well, on the membership policy, a guest is a friend, non-resident friend.
I understand that somebody's had their own connotation to that.
Yes.
So that's changing, to me, changing the connotation of, or the actual definition in our CC.
I think what I was taken back with when, and I remember Max in particular being at that meeting, and you were the one talking to one of the framers of this policy. So when they were talking about the intent of the language, they explained it, and this other group kind of took it as, oh, well, there's loopholes here and there and whatever, and so they continue to use those loopholes. And I think we need to do something. I mean, that's what I'm hearing here too. We need to do something to bring this into a manageable system so we don't reduce the opportunities for our families, but we keep our amenities clean from so much usage. And I'm out of those pickleball courts too. My second issue is lessons, and that's a whole different issue, but I'd like some common language about people who are hired or approved or whatever to give lessons. And I see people out there are 3 people giving lessons. And I don't know if the people they're giving lessons to are residents. I don't even know if the people out there giving lessons are residents. There's one I didn't even recognize at all. And it's a Sunday, and there were 3 different people giving lessons out there. So we have that issue also, but I think this guest thing really needs to be looked at. I would not be in favor of having more guests come in as a revenue stream. I don't want all these guests in. They don't take care of the facilities the way we do, and I just think it's more traffic, it's more people, it's more chaos. Yeah, I would not be in favor of that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy. Okay, Bill had his hand up, so please.
Bill Wolf, Cypress Point. I think a couple of things are kind of obvious here this morning. One is, we're not going to solve this today. And another thing is that this has been an issue for how many years that we've been discussing this? I can think of 2 or 3 at least. I've been here for just under 9 years. I can think of at least 2 or 3 other years when we've discussed this. And I think we're at a point where this needs to come together formally. And I don't know if it's an ad hoc committee, I don't know if it's a board committee, but I think a number of things need to be considered and they need to be formalized. Even things like if we have the difference between our CCRs and the policy, you know, what was the intent of the policy? Was the policy to clarify what was in the CCRs? Or is it in direct conflict? I think we need to look at those things. We also need to look at why these people are coming here. And I will take some exception with the comment I heard earlier about, you know, not going to other places and looking and seeing what they're doing. Yeah, we don't necessarily want to emulate what they're doing, but it would help us to understand why people are coming here. And I can tell you from the clubs I've been involved in and from our other guests who pay for memberships and come and have, you know, have the guest club memberships, people come here for certain reasons. We have activities other places don't have. We have facilities that they may not have, and our facilities, because of our upkeep, may be in better condition, and they would rather come here. We also have people who come here because we're cheaper. And is that why we want people coming in? I think we got hung up on the revenue stream issue, and I think we have to be careful with that. I think if there is a revenue stream from it, it should not necessarily be designed to be a profit-making operation, but we at least need to cover our costs. So again, I would suggest perhaps that because this has been an issue for years, that somehow a group come together and take a look at this and see if some reasonable things can be discussed. We don't want to hurt the residents. I mean, every resident should have the ability to bring in a reasonable number of family members, especially guests. Nobody wants to resist that. But we want to look at the use that's beyond those things that particularly or specifically benefit our residents and the association. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Marsha Albrecht, I live in Tamron Place, and I just have a quick question, not a complaint or anything, but we're talking about Sun City, you know, comparing our stuff to Sun City and other communities. And I know, I have several friends that live in Sun City. I know that their HOA fee, annual fee, is $600 a year, and it has not gone up in quite some time. So my question is, I know ours goes up, and I understand cost of everything goes up, we gotta raise things, but if we're gonna go ahead and charge $5 for guests or whatever, like Sun City does, are we gonna continue to need to raise our annual HOA fees as well? Just a question, just a thought.
Okay, Sun Cities is not an HOA fee. Their HOA fee is $25 a year.
It's a rec fee.
A
It's
rec
a
center
rec
fee,
Right.
yeah. So they're two separate items, and that needs to be recognized.
But I understand that, I hear that, but it's still $600 a year to use their recreation areas. And that's basically what our HOA fee goes for, as well as our upkeep for our landscaping. I mean, I understand there's a lot more that goes with that. I'm just thinking that we need to just kind of take a look at that. If we're gonna compare things, we probably need to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
Right. So the comparison that I volunteered did not include Sun City because of that specific reason. We went out to Pebble Creek, Sun City Grand, Sun City Festival, and Sun City West, because it's all one fee. Correct. Sun City is a very unusual format.
When I said Sun City earlier, it was an all-inclusive thing. I rarely use that place that's right next door as an example of anything good, and I don't mean to be insulting.
But I didn't understand that, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify.
Yes. Okay. Ray's next, and then I want to wrap this discussion up.
Steve, I think you mentioned earlier, did you say that our annual guests right now are like 9,000? Is that the figure you use?
The end of October, with the 4 largest amenities, guests totaling the end of October, running totals 9,095.
Okay. Karen, did we see those, the numbers back up there? I saw the vistas went up there, but I didn't see the legs.
We'll start on page 16. Will be the first one. Page 16 shows, Ray, you'll see pool and spa. Year-to-date for 24 to the right is 3,181. Then you go to page 17. The fitness center year-to-date is 1,004. Pickleball is 2,206. And the pool and spa is 1,702. Those are the main four that we were referencing.
And that's where I got the 9,095.
Okay.
Jan Tolman again. One quick suggestion, if our computer system allows it. I lived in a similar community in the East Valley for a number of years. It was gated, guard gated. Their system allowed us to list 10 family members or 10 regular guests we would have per year. And we would just, if we ever needed to update it, we could. And if those 10 people were in our guest list on the computer, they were the family members. We had those 10 basic we could have. And anything beyond that, you had to go in and talk with people. But, so it covered our children or our grandchildren or a best friend who comes over every other week or whatever. So if our computer could handle that, you could ask the residents to list 10 family members. And that keeps them from bringing in their club for anything.
Great ideas.
Okay, Bill said in point number 1 that this probably won't be resolved this week. And is there a board member that cares to make a motion, or do we need to examine this issue further? I'm not hearing a motion, not surprisingly. So I think we need to, I don't know, go to send this to rep, or do we form a ad hoc committee, or what at this point? I'm open to suggestions on that.
Can you throw town hall in there as one of the choices?
Town hall?
Someone from the audience just yelled out that we need to add a town hall to that total.
And I'm
So
going
it gets in the minutes.
please remind everyone to step up to the mic, just please.
I think
We got you, Lynette, but, okay, because we've been criticized that our videos are not audible, and we're trying to make sure they are. So, okay, so,
I think we should send this back to rec. Let them work on this. It gives the community time to go to the rec meeting and voice their opinion one way or the other. And see what they come up with.
Steve, unfortunately, this is a membership question,
It's a membership policy by the
not
whole board.
a rec committee jurisdiction.
You're right.
You could
As
get.
much as I would have loved.
okay, so, I think that it needs to be studied further. I'm not prepared, I don't think the board is right here, right now, so.
Maybe 2 board members that would like to work with Denise and myself to
Okay,
work with the town hall survey and bring something back to the board.
okay, that sounds like a great suggestion.
I'll volunteer to help with that. So I think it is important that this is singling out certain individual clubs, and I think they should have a voice in this also.
I like it.
So to that end, Bruce, you don't have to join a club to go to the gym. You don't have to join a club to go to the pool or the spa. So I see where you're headed with this. As the past president of the club, I always wrestled with, no matter what decision Westbrook made, it impacts everyone. So if, how can I say this? to me, is a true club issue. The club maybe needs to start looking at ways to work with the board, no matter what club it is, or clubs for that matter, and come to some kind of a compromise.
I don't think it's a club thing though, Dean, because the club itself restricts guests during club time. So while they may be club members, they are not doing this during club time. This is being done during open court time. So I don't think that it necessarily affects the club that way.
So the club could be more restricted, but still follow the guidelines that Tim uses, our CCNRs or our bylaws. They can adjust their rules accordingly and be more restrictive than the community as a whole.
Right, but the current policy for the pickleball club is guests are not allowed during club play. That's the current rule that they have. So these guests that are coming in during open court time. They can be, they're bringing them in as residents, not bringing them in as members of pickleball. They may be members of pickleball, but they're not doing it during pickleball club time.
Or if they are doing it during scheduled time, they're using the open play paddle stacking policy.
As residents.
The incident that I referenced earlier with the resident and the 2 members in injury was during that time.
I'd like to be on that ad hoc committee also, please.
And Max volunteered, so we're creating an ad hoc committee about the guest policy. And 3 board members is our maximum, so we don't have quorum.
Well, I'd like to be on that committee as well. I tried to speak up before. Steven said I'd like to be on that committee, please.
We cannot do that because that's a quorum of the board and we cannot do that. I will step back from that committee and allow Tim to be on it.
I'm not sure if we're gonna have a quorum. It should be weighted one way or the other, and it appears to be weighted one way right now.
It does, that's why because I know I represent the whole community better than just about anybody. And that's why I want to be on it, because I would put out the fair word, so.
I don't, in good conscience, as a past president of the pickleball club, I don't think I should be on it. I mean, even though I sit here and tell you I can be impartial, I think who knows? It just, I leave the question out there. I don't need to be on the committee.
Let's have one person that is an active pickleball club member, and on that committee. So Tim and Bruce, you're both in pickleball, correct?
I'm on the club, and I'm not an active member per se.
Why is this just being limited to pickleball?
Yeah.
I thought this was a policy for the whole community.
It truly is, but
I'm gonna withdraw my name.
There are 2 board members that are current pickleball.
Tim's on it.
So Bruce withdrew.
Okay, okay. Very good.
So can we confirm that we created an ad hoc committee with Max, Tim, and Amy, and then Denise and Karen?
All right. And we will meet and come up with a proposed policy ongoing. And stay tuned. It will be on next month's board agenda, I believe.
You don't want any residents on that committee?
You're gonna make a policy with just 3 board members and you're not gonna have anybody?
Hello, microphone, and this is an ad hoc committee that's gonna decide whether they're doing town halls or surveys. It's exactly, you have to come up to the microphone. It's exactly what you guys asked for.
Amy, just say policy.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
you didn't
missed
say
it.
policy. You mean
I got it,
policy.
I got it, I'm sorry. Okay.
The end goal is a policy, I think.
Correct.
Yes,
After
and
the protocol meeting or
got it.
whatever the committee decides.
Yep. So, thank you all for the correction. Okay. Thank you. Okay, yeah, I was up late last night watching the election. So, okay, very good. We're gonna move on to the next item, which might be every bit as controversial and involve as much discussion. So let's move onward, please. Annual sanctioned club member access fee. And that would be on page 25 of your binder and up on the board. And up on the board. And this was something that was discussed in budget, and it is also a recognition of that principle where a fee, maybe we've come to the point in time where a fee needs to be assessed where there's usage of our facilities and whatnot, and our staff and our resources. Let's put it at that. And it was suggested that maybe we start out with every person that is a member of a sanctioned club, and that's important. Sanctioned clubs get use of our facilities. And so that takes staff time, and that takes setup fees and wear and tear. And some places, in some clubs, it takes electricity. So we're trying to have a little bit, address some fairness. We have about half of our residents don't use our facilities. And so to assess increased fees in that direction doesn't seem quite as just as what it could. So it was suggested that we start at like a $5 per club member fee per year, which isn't going to break any of us, for an access to our facilities and staff and the like. So I open the floor for discussion. Oh, one moment, I want to see if the board gets first up. Anybody want to make a comment on this?
So are we, is it our intent to have it's a flat fee across all clubs then?
Yes, sir. That's what was suggested.
Regardless of what the cost of usage is, okay?
Right. It was $5 per member per year.
And that's a member that's listed on, as president, our rosters, so it's a number
Yes.
based on our roster list.
Yes.
That we
So
provide.
if you have 100 club members, once a year you would write to the association and check for 500. Years ago, we checked into, we have facilities that have very high energy bills in certain club rooms. We looked into separate meters for those certain rooms, but they were nearly $50,000 each meter to install that. But we run kilns, we run, no picking on wood shop, Ray, but one of my highest energy rooms are some of these club rooms. And Cards as well, set up and tear down, I think it's only to cover the costs. We tried this when Sylvia Ramo was the treasurer to try to cover set up and tear down costs with flat fees.
I also think that this issue needs a little bit more of a resolution because we're coming up with a club president's meeting in November, I don't know the date. Next week. And we would like to introduce this at that time. So, Lynette, did you want to make your point now, please?
So I'm trying to understand, you know how the tennis club has a fee that person from outside the community can
This is
pay?
not that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand.
This is not that. That's a whole other item that is going for the rec committee this month. But this is just a fee for clubs because all our clubs do put some burden on the staff and, varying burdens on the facilities.
Okay, so it's a fee that the sanctioned club pays to the HOA?
Or the club member, not, the club member,
Okay, per club member?
yes, $5.
Okay.
So, I pick on pottery a lot because I used to be a potter, stepped back because of things, but, they charge I believe it's $80 a year. And so their annual fee would become $85. And they would submit to us, the president submits a list of their active club members, And pottery, it has about 75 members. So it's 75 times 5. Okay? Is that good?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yes.
No, that's an annual fee.
You're talking about an annual fee,
Member.
and that would be also in clubs. But what about those clubs that don't have any income? So they're gonna go turn around and they're gonna charge $5 to the member, or whatever the fee becomes. And those people, like myself, I belong to 3 different organizations, so it's $15. That's gonna come from somewhere, probably out of my pocket. No, thank you. We pay our yearly assessment, and I think that should be enough to cover our usage as much as, I just don't think that this is fair.
We do not cover our usage, is the bottom line.
I understand that, I know that, and I believe it, but this is still something that is going to be appropriate, I think, and not lose anything.
So are the 3 clubs, like cards next or
Pack,
packed?
it's the players, it's the technology club. I think that's all, I'm not really sure. I sign up for anything, I'll
Do you
stop
feel-
watching my piece of views though.
Do you feel that PAC creates extra setup and tear down more than somebody that doesn't use the facilities?
I'm thinking of what PAC brings to this community, not just the cost of setup and tear down.
Don't disagree with that. So should it be a fee on your ticket sales then?
That's something for PAC to discuss. But I do think that a fee imposed on the particular member, which is what it's going to be, I don't think any club is going to refuse to pass on this. It's either going to lessen the number of members of any one particular club.
Right, and I don't think that's the intent of the board is to reduce membership.
I think that's what's
For $5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, some of our facilities, which are the greatest burden on our budget, don't even have clubs where people are using them and participating in it. They're gonna go scot-free, i.e. the pool and the gym.
That's a lot of clubs.
They have some clubs, yes, that's correct.
Well, previously it was discussed about the flat fee. You remember about 4 or 5 years ago, again, when Sil was treasurer, about events, special events, setups, tear downs, that there were to be a flat fee charged for those events. But, you know, that was a burden on Pat. You know,
They never imposed it, I expected to have to pay for it. As president of the players, I had walked into the contract section, whatever it was, all I was charged was for the tour. So I don't know what happened to that fee. I know we passed it, but it was never imposed as far as I know. And certainly I wasn't gonna ask to have it imposed.
I thought that was drop max. Because
I don't remember it being dropped.
I think there was months and months of meetings and discussion.
Agreed.
A lot of controversy. I'll go back to check the minutes. Yeah.
So you're okay with the paying max part?
For each particular event, yes. Yeah, I don't have a problem with a fee for a specific expense. What I have the problem with is charging every member, and that's what's gonna happen. Every member is going to be charged. And we're gonna lose members, I can tell you that right now. I know that the players will lose their members. Certainly. Well, that is a governing situation. But I know that other members, they'll lose, because they don't have it. Some of the PAC members don't even have an income.
Okay, so Bill, what are you the president of? Bill,
Mr.
Mr. Wool.
It's Norma.
Norma's
Oh,
the
sorry.
back president.
Norma's back.
Would you be picking on me for?
I just went to my right, Norma, no disrespect intended.
Norma, can you come up to the microphone?
It's from now.
Thanks, Bill, we're gonna hear about this later.
Yes, we will. Every club I belong to charges dues, and that dues is going to be increased by $5. I do not think that's unreasonable. Do you pay dues? Do the players charge dues? Well, they should.
Thank you, Norma.
You now have dues of $5 a
We
year.
have enough trouble just getting people to come out for the play. Never mind.
Jan's over there, you have dues now of $5 a year, and that covers it. Check, next. So, I don't think it's
Norma, you
unreasonable.
really think that's gonna stop at $5 a year? You really think
I'm
so?
worried about this year next, you know, it's like, don't buy green bananas.
I would like that saying.
The other thing regarding the setups, yes, it was dropped, and what Pat did to accommodate is they only have one setup for each show now. There were a couple of shows that had 2 setups, which meant setting it up, tearing it down, setting it up, tearing it down. So we have now just one setup per show.
Thank you.
It's
That was a great
accommodated
help.
that. Okay. I think that, is there anything else you want to see?
No, thank you for that.
All right, Jerry.
Jerry Davis, I live over here in Cyprus.
Right.
Okay, a couple questions to throw out there is, Technology Club does taxes. Now you want all the people who do the taxes to pay $5? One question.
I want all the technology club members, if they're in a sanctioned club, not using the services of the club, but sanctioned club members.
The other one is charitable games, okay? That is for charity. Now you want everybody who plays cards.
Those aren't charitable, those aren't sanctioned clubs.
Yeah, we do have a charitable,
It's a
we
club.
have a charitable club now, yeah. What are the dues for the charitable club, Jerry? There aren't any.
Show up and play.
And you think they wouldn't show up for $5 a year?
It's charity, I think the $5 would address that.
But just some food for thought.
Good food for thought, thank you, thank you. Right. Here we are.
Yeah. Ray Jansen, president of the Woods Club. Okay, Karen has a point, I'm sure we have the highest electrical bill in Westbrook. However, there are other fees they don't have. You never set anything up for us. We're set up, you go in, so we don't have those fees. So I think the different clubs balance out. So I'm kind of curious, has anybody looked, how many club members are we looking at total? We have 90 clubs?
84 clubs.
84 clubs?
And they vary, and we're hoping to have that answer for you after next week, right? We have our updated club presidents meeting next week.
Okay. The other thing is, I think the timing here is bad. We're already collecting our 2025 fees. All the forms are made, people are paying already. It will be very difficult to pay this soon or at that time. So I don't think the timing is good. I'm not totally against it. I understand. But we're already collecting the 2025 fee. So it's just something I want you to think about. We're already in that process.
Ray, just out of curiosity, I don't belong to the wood shop, what do you guys have for a member? What do they pay a year?
You pay $40 a year.
Okay.
How many members do you have?
We have about 70 this year. We're up a little bit from, it's usually 60, 65, so we're up a few.
Do you think $5 extra will make people not join?
No. No, I don't. Yeah, I think that's okay.
It's part of an accounting thing, because now you'll have to go back and ask the people who already registered for an additional $5.
Well, we also have to change all the forms we've already made. You know, those have already been distributed, so all that would change. I'm not saying it's undoable, but the timing is bad. So I don't know whether you'd actually collect this. If you would collect it in the beginning of the year for the coming year,
No,
or
I
you
think the
collect it
policy-
at the end of the year.
The policy says due from the club by July 1st.
Or April 1st is when.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if there's a.
Oh, April 1st and then July 1st.
Yeah. I mean, I know that all the clubs collect their fees a little bit differently.
Everybody's different,
A little
right?
different understanding. And one thing I want to know, or not know, but just let you know, because some people don't know this. All the machinery in the wood shop was initially paid for by the builder. But since that happened 35 or 40 years ago, all the machinery in the wood shop is paid for by the club. So Westbrook does not pay for any of that machinery or materials. But I agree, the electric bill is probably sky high.
Okay, thank you. Lynette, come on up.
So, in terms of, I don't know, like, is bingo a club?
No, it's not essentially closed.
Not a club, okay, but they use our facilities.
And there's some state gaming laws that govern bingo. We couldn't discuss that. That would be out of the.
We get to keep $1 per player for the admin.
So we can't, the state law would.
Well, can you raise the admin fee?
It's state law. The bingo license only allows us to keep $1 per player. Yep, that's Arizona State Gaming.
Okay, well, that doesn't seem fair. A lot of those events, there's parking, usage, and, you know, like,
Staff time, yep.
they take lots of medicines, they're having a great time, not because they're trying to make a mess, but something to think about, those have a big impact here.
Sounds like we need to consider if it's that much of a burden.
Then I'll get you.
What?
You get to deal with those 200 bingo players then, Bruce.
Well, okay. I've been here, yeah, so I'm just saying, if we're gonna, if we're gonna scrutinize certain clubs for burden on facilities, and then we're gonna play bingo, which is a burden on our facilities and staff also, why are they not on the same playing field with that decision?
I wish we could charge them an additional $5.
Well, I'm not saying, I said maybe we should consider not having bingo anymore, if it's truly that much of a cost issue.
And you're saying that on video?
That was Bruce Garrison.
That was Bruce Garrison. Okay, quiet, please, we need to get moving on.
I'm an outgoing, Kathy Carter, I'm an outgoing president of the Westbrook Village Niners. And that club is very unique, and I don't know how we would be able to even facilitate that. We use one, because we use the golf course, which isn't,
Right.
you know, and they have golf clubs also over there too, that they're now clubs, so that they could use some of the facilities for their club events. So that's the only time they're using a facility. So I don't know if that's really appropriate to, like, the Niners only uses one, like the Lakes Ballroom, one time a year. And the membership is so fluid, like it's who's ever gonna golf this day, and working it out with the golf course because they went private, and then it's complex.
It should go back to the fee for the events.
Just to the event, and that would make sense for this particular club, not to charge every member because that's so fluid, we don't even know.
That makes sense.
Yes.
That doesn't address the energy costs for pottery, lapidary,
No.
glass arts.
Different clubs have definitely different costs.
It does.
And so
How do you create a policy? for all of them?
Exactly, so.
Is that true with all the golf clubs? Only come in every so often and hold their events in the ballrooms?
The golf club itself does its annual meeting, and then the individual clubs, like 9 holes, 18 hole women's couples, they get one event each year as well.
So,
But it should be a set of things.
Yeah, we may need more than one policy, I think is where we're headed. Maybe there isn't one policy to cover all.
it could be an either or, Rita, and then Paul. Sorry.
Neely Wendeski, I run the Lapidary Club, and I'm with Ray in the same thought is all of our equipment way back when was donated. Now, Westbrook does not provide any supplies, any help, any repairs, and one wheel, which we probably have 10 or 15 diamond wheels, are $200. Our club, which we charge $30 a year per member, and we just raised that last year because we do have to keep these grinders going. Our saw blades, sometimes they're diamond saw blades, they're again, sometimes $200, $150. We have 8 of those. So the more, what I'm saying is Westbrook does not provide us.
It provides the room,
They
it
provide.
provides the air conditioning,
Yes, it does.
it provides the electricity that runs those things.
Sometimes. I have problems still with the electrical, but I do have problems. I do blow switches when I get too many things going, which I know now which ones to turn on and which ones I can't use. But either way, $5, again, I'm like Ray, is not gonna hurt our club. But it's really bad timing. I've already collected, we have 40 members. I've already collected 11. Again, all of our forms would have to, get redone. I could do it, but unfortunately the timing was just bad. Have this come up in April and say, okay, this is gonna be for this before August or September, would have been better.
It came up through the budget committee, I understand, in the ARCO budget committee.
But the $5, everybody can afford $5. I don't have a problem with that. But I just wanted you guys to know that a club like mine, like the wood shop, we do have to pay for all of our other expenses.
Right, okay. Paul?
Paul Schnetzky, I go to States, I was on the budget committee. It seems to me, following up on Bruce, the biggest swipes are pool and fitness. They will not be covered by this. operating costs per, the Westwood operating costs per club varies all over the place. Some almost zero, some high. Hard to make that come out equitable as well. I understand we're trying to get income. I think a dues increase across the whole community is a better way to solve this than to try to do it with $5 to club members when there are so many facilities that don't have club status.
Okay, thank you. We can't do a dues increase that's not CPI.
We tried that one.
Me again.
Hey, Mike.
Could we still have the annual fee for people who don't live here that join the club?
That is going to be discussed by the rec committee, and that meeting is Tuesday morning.
Mike,
I think it's $50 a year now.
Yeah, the annual club guest pass. Is that what you're inquiring about?
No, the people that don't live here that
Yes.
can join a club.
That's going on before the rec committee.
And that's $50.
It's $50 a year.
That's on the rec committee.
Yeah, thank you.
Amy, hey Mike, before you run away, come back to the mic. So, do you think it should go away, or do you think we should raise the fee?
I think it should be raised
To
at
what?
$50 a year.
Okay, give me your.
If you don't live here, raise it to 75.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe next year a little more.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow along with Ray and with Eva. Please remember that PAC or players and the other groups that are in there, we provided over almost $100,000 worth of equipment in that sound booth. We continue to replace whatever goes. So we have expenses that are not well known in the general area. All that equipment is owned by us, even though it is on the insurance policy of the association, but we have other expenses. $5, as I said, is not going to break me, it's not going to break anybody. It's the principle thing that I find objection. But and I don't have a problem, I know we're going to discuss it at the rec committee, but I don't have a problem raising the membership, guest membership either. That doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Ed?
Ed Hartman, Cypress Point. I'm the treasurer of the 18-hole men's club Wednesdays. We've got about 130 members. We use the ballroom, I think once or twice a year. We're using it next Wednesday, actually. And I'm also a member of a very small club. So I think each club should pay the $5 per person towards their membership. You know, and subsidize some of the smaller clubs that probably can't afford to have a setup fee.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. That's the way she is. Okay. Well, here we are. I think that we need to have a discussion with the club presidents next Tuesday. So I want to make sure that we, as a board, take the right action to make sure that we got put on that agenda, didn't we, James?
We are finishing up that agenda, we'll be sure that it's on.
Okay, so I think that it would be really good to get the feedback of the club presidents before the board actually makes those.
Great idea.
So I'm going to say that we need to move on to the next item on the agenda because we're going to go to the club presidents.
So next, we'll
I would
have
only,
that.
the only thing I would add to that is, I see rec committee members sitting in the room right now, is make sure to send to your members under your committee people to remind them of the president's meeting and the importance of coming to that meeting on Tuesday. I've already done that with the sports group and stuff, so there's
Good, thank you, Marcy. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to committee reports, and thank you all for bearing with us. These are important discussions.
Madam President, can I make a suggestion? It's been talked about on social media that the reports are in your binder and that the audience doesn't see them. They're not a report. We're referring to meeting minutes, which are available on the website. So again, we've somehow converted to calling meeting minutes reports.
Okay, thank
So
you.
just for clarification.
So minutes are in, on the website, yes, in the binder. All right, first up is architectural control, Marcy.
Well, the meeting minutes are in there. We have been working on quite a few different projects. Artificial turf seems to be the big one in our group right now, but we are starting to look at some standards that we will be bringing probably forth to the board over the next few months, trying to update some stuff.
Government relations, Kim?
Nothing to report.
Information technology, Marcy?
Nothing since we voted in that we were going to be doing the e-voting. Probably the next thing that we need to be discussing is getting the town hall on schedule for that so that we can get this out in front of the community well before we start sending everything out and explaining to everyone about that.
Landscape and facilities, I'm the new chair of that committee, and there was an extended conversation about placement of trees that are annually budgeted for, and we got a lot of education about trees and planning and how the planning for where they are placed is done. It's quite a long conversation, but very informative. Long Range Planning Committee, Steve.
The committee is working on a survey that, through plenty of discussion, is going to go out to the community, and we'll see where that takes us. Other than that, the minutes are in your binder.
Steve, just to clarify that, the first survey that we're working on is for the new homeowners.
That's it.
For the past 24 months.
Thank you.
And then the second one will go to all of the residents.
Thank you. Okay, Cornerstone Committee, the minutes are in your binder and also on one there. We didn't have much business that we conducted that past meeting. Personnel, Steve?
Having just jumped into that chair, no meeting.
Okay, Rep Committee, Max?
Minutes are in the binder, and I guess on the website, and if you have any questions, otherwise they're there. I do expect things to go a little bit longer with the next meetings.
It's freezing in this building. Town Hall. Tim?
Yes, all town hall meetings will be scheduled, and I'll be talking to the board members within the next month, and we'll get those all on schedule for January through March of next year.
How many do you think we'll have to just?
I think we're going to have quite a few because we've got a lot of stuff going on.
Which means what?
Well, for example, like we were talking specifically about the roads issue and the coming out and saying that we should have 2 meetings for candidates night. I could use that same format for talking about the roads and make sure that we get everybody to vote on that as well. So
That's parking.
yeah, parking.
Yeah, the parking. Roads. Okay, thanks.
And then electronic voting, as Marcy just brought up.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Ways and Means, Steve?
We have a meeting once a month. We discuss expenses. We look at every penny the community spends. We're trying to keep our expenses in line with our budget, and so far we have been. Other than that, the minutes are in your meeting. I mean, sorry, yeah. And if you were at the meeting, you got it.
Did you stay up late last night too?
Okay, golf course joint meeting, we did not have a meeting last month, so, on to managers' reports. Does anyone have any questions of any of the managers? Then we'll move on, for the good of the order. Does anybody have any good news they want to talk about?
Well, I don't know if it's good news. I wanted to speak up when Sandy Newman got up, and it flew by so quick that I didn't chime in. I feel that it might be a worthwhile discussion for this board to talk about how we handle candidates night, i.e. The questioning portion of it, of our candidates. I ran on the premise that I would be on this board so that I could help convince our residents to be more proactive with us as a board. And I see this as an opportunity to let our residents chime in on how we conduct that particular session, meeting session. I'd like to propose we put this on the agenda for next month.
It will. Thank you.
So we're adding the candidates forum to the board agenda in December,
Yes,
or on a town hall, both.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, town hall would be a good format too.
great, that was, okay.
Okay. Yes, Norma.
Pull the mic down.
I forgot to say my name. I'm Norma Alcadaga. I live here in 1011 Place.
I knew that.
No.
I knew that.
We know, yeah.
I wanted to ask the manager, Karen, since we are discussing next Tuesday morning, changing the bylaws, the club guest policy in the bylaws, are we going to have those bylaws that the attorney has had?
Yes, we have them, we'll have them in the rec committee packet, but not the club president's packet, because it has to come to the board for final review and approval.
Because as you know, we are already changing the percentage of guests you can have. That was one of the things that went in on that. And so now we're talking about, because the idea was to change the percentage and then a year or two later, increase the fee. Well, because of this lasting for 2 or 3 years, we're now doing everything at once. So I don't know how well that's going to go over. But we will have that at the meeting for the rec center.
No, we're not gonna have it at the club president's meeting, it's gonna be reviewed at the rec committee. And then the rec will review it, and then they'll make the recommendations to the board. So, yeah.
Okay, and I have one more question. Last Easter, I ordered a brick for the reflection garden, and we've heard nothing on it. Does anybody have any remarks about it?
It takes a long time. I ordered one 2 years ago, a year and a half ago now, I think. And I still haven't been informed that it is coming.
So have you checked with Shelley?
I expected Shelley to call me. I had been in that office 3 times asking her about this brick.
And what did she
And I
say?
expected her to call me. She told me she would call me and never did. I haven't heard anything.
So Jody, if you'll check on Max and Norma's bricks that were ordered, we've been doing it every 3 months and they've been planting them.
Unless it's sitting in a closet or something.
But like I said, everything's been planted except for the last 3 months.
It might be
You're
in the
saying that you ordered it a year ago. Yeah.
It might be in the garden already.
That might already be in the garden. building, that's what I'm wondering. So Jody and Shelley will be in touch with you and, let you know.
Okay.
Can anybody sit on my green yet? You were supposed to have a bench.
I did order, and I said that last month, that I ordered a plaque that we are putting on the bench in the reflection garden.
So it's not here yet.
No, it's here.
It's on the list of to-do by maintenance to
Yep,
install.
it has to be drilled and included, but it's definitely here. It's a very nice plaque. It says in loving memory of Michael Green. So, yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you all for bearing with us.
We do have
We have an executive session for legal issue.